I have plenty of slides, so I hope that I can cover everything. But first of all, I want to say hi. It's not so beautiful Friday morning. I know it's pretty cold. I know it's raining a little bit, but I hope that still you're gonna enjoy your Friday. And I also hope that you enjoyed the first 2 days of GeeCON. I have no doubts that today there are gonna be plenty of interesting presentations that you're gonna see, plenty of interesting discussions that you're gonna be having. And I also know that it's Friday, and probably in the afternoon, we all gonna be in this Friday mode and Friday mood as well before the weekend. But before we enter that mode and enter that mood, let's spend upcoming 50 minutes talking about, obviously, AI. Yeah, like most of the presentations that you probably saw over the last 3 days, but this time in the context of engineering management. Now, why this topic? Why AI in the context of exactly that area? So as you can see right now, I play a role of Director of Cloud Quality Engineering. This is the organization that I own. But over the time, and in the past, I've been playing different roles, including a manager, senior manager, developer, but also less obvious roles like a product owner, like project manager, like a scrum master, depending on the needs of the organization at the given moment of time. And, and over that time, what I have realized is that there are common areas that are connecting all those types of work that I've been doing, and those areas are sometimes the areas where I was a little bit struggling with. So, time management. Way how I was gathering and hosting the data and information about different projects, about different people I've been interacting with. I was sometimes not productive enough to be able to deliver results on time. And plenty of those things are generic ones, regardless of if you're a manager, developer, product owner, scrum master. When ChatGPT entered the stage, in the beginning I thought like everyone, yeah, this is exciting, but how I can really use it to be more productive? And I was like, okay, that's a good tool, but how it can really help me? So in the beginning it's like, AI is there, but I don't really see how it can help me. Over the time, when more tools have been created, I have realized that really the areas that I've been struggling with, AI could be the answer, generative AI especially, to help me with boosting my productivity, to make sure that I'm more successful. So that's the reason why we're gonna be talking about AI in the context of engineering management. And there are 3 parts that I'm gonna cover today. The first thing is where we even are with generative AI on the market and why it's important to really try to play with it and understand how it can help you. The second part, I would like to give you a very practical examples of how I use different tools. Some of those things I'm doing every day, and some of those things I want to do, and I want to try to introduce those tools in my everyday job. So this is the second part. The third part is very simple, and it's only gonna be 1 slide about particular steps that you can take to make sure that your organization is encouraged to really use and leverage AI in everyday work. Now, to be clear, I don't want to convince anyone that AI is a silver bullet and it's gonna solve all your problems. That's completely not the case here, because it's not. I just want to, there's one thing that I want to achieve at the end of this presentation. I want every single person in this room just to think about, whether you hate AI or you don't believe in it or not, think about how you can really play with it, explore it, and to encourage you to really do that when you're gonna be back at work on Monday. So before we jump into practical use cases, let's first think about where we even are right now. And to do that, we're gonna use something that is called a hype cycle from a Gartner. Who knows what the Gartner is doing? Anyone heard about this company? Plenty of people. So Gartner is a company that is providing reports on what is going on the market, and it's basically a trusted source of information about different technologies that are on the market, also about the products. So what they came up with at some point is something that they call the hype cycle. And it's not scientifically proven, just to be clear. They just realized that some technologies that they're assessing are basically going through the same cycle, the one that you see right now on the screen. So you have a time, you have expectations, and over the time, first expectations are very high. There is this hype. Everyone's are talking about the technology. Everyone's are excited. Then at some point, there is a peak of the hype, and we're reaching the state when the hype is slowly going down. And at some point, the market is saying, okay, put the cards on the table and tell me what is the value from the technology that we're having right now. How we can use it, how I can use it to make sure that my product, my company is actually getting a real value. And this is the moment when we are started thinking, okay, how to productize the given technology and how to bring this value for the business. And if the technology is successful, we are successful with that, then you reach the plateau of productivity. So there are tools on the market that business can use to really get a value. So what you see on the screen right now is basically a hype cycle for generative AI. It's talking about different technologies that are right now on the market, including, of course, LLMs, autonomous agents, etc. This report is, I think, from November last year. That's the most recent one. And as you can see at that point of time, plenty of technologies related to generative AI were still in this hype mode. So everyone are talking about them. However, if you look at the chart, for example, for LLMs, they're slowly going down on the curve, and we're slowly reaching the state where market is gonna be checking if this is really something that we should go forward or not. And that's the moment where startups, companies that are having ideas on how to productize this technology can really win in the future. And there were plenty of discussions, of course, and a fear of how AI is gonna affect us and the job market. So there is a survey that has been taken by Resume Templates. They asked basically about almost 1,000 owners of different companies about what do you plan in 2025 in the context of AI and the job market. And they said, hey, in 2025, 35% of business leaders said, hey, we're gonna replace employees at our company because of AI. A little bit scary, to be fair. On Tuesday, I think, Microsoft, I don't know if someone noticed that, but they announced 3% layoffs that are coming, about 6,000 people globally. One of the reasons is the fact that they're using AI in their everyday job, and basically the productivity increased, which means that they're trying to change the way how they manage their staff. So it's there, whether we like it or not. With the increase of productivity because of introducing AI, we are seeing this trend on the market happening. However, what I think is very, very crucial to understand is something that this guy said during one of interviews. Who knows who is this? So this is basically, he's the CEO of NVIDIA, the company that emerged because of rise of generative AI. And during one of his interviews, he said something that I really embrace and I really would like to share with you, and I believe it's very true. He said that AI is not going to take your jobs. The person who uses AI is going to take your job. So you shouldn't be afraid about AI, that it's there. You should embrace it, you should use it, you should productize it. But if you're not following with what is going on the market, you won't stay competitive. The person who is, whether the person likes AI or not, whether likes the fact, whether believes in or not, if the person is using AI to boost productivity, it's ahead, it's on top of the game. So that's basically the message that Huang is trying to send here. And from the same survey that I just presented 2 slides back, 9 in 10 companies that are hiring in 2025 will be looking for workers with AI skills. So on the one hand, we are seeing that there is those layoffs and changes in the staff because the productivity is increased because of introducing of AI. But at the same time, the same companies, sometimes even they're doing layoffs, but at the same time they're hiring people who are having right skills, who knows that they want really to change something in the way how they work and be more productive with introducing AI to their daily work. Last year, I was speaking at Porto Tech Hub conference about AI, this time in the context of testing and quality. And what organizers of this conference did is that they created and put this nice whiteboard where they ask a couple of questions. One of the questions was exactly about how do you feel about having AI on the market? Do you feel this is a threat or do you see it as an opportunity? It seems like still most of us see it as an opportunity, which I really like, I really enjoy, because this is how we should think about it. But one message that I want to really convey before we jump into the second part is you like AI, you don't like AI, it doesn't matter. It's there. It's gonna be there. It's gonna change the way how we work. If you want to stay competitive, you need to play with it. You need to understand how you would like to use it. And you need to understand how it can help you and your company to stay ahead of the game. So with that being said, let's now think about how different AI tools can be used in everyday job of engineering manager. And now, for those who are not actually in the role or in the management role, it's also gonna be very helpful because all those tools that we're gonna see here, they can be used in almost every type of job that is related to software development. So it's like a very generic. Those are very generic purpose tools. I'm just setting a context here, which is engineering management. And if you Google engineering manager roles and responsibilities, you're gonna get the different results. There can be different ways of how we can break down what the role is all about. What you see on the screen is my subjective approach that helped me a lot with structurizing the content that I'm gonna present, but it's also very true. And actually the breakdown that you see here has been created with my chat with the ChatGPT. So what engineering managers do? They make decisions, different kind of decisions about hiring, about the way how to structure team, about the way how to distribute among different projects, what kind of tools should be used. So engineering managers make decisions. That's the one area. The second, they sometimes do project management. Now, of course, you can say there should be a project manager, there should be product owner. Yes, of course, but very often engineering managers are deeply involved also in that kind of activity, so they have to manage resources and projects on a daily basis. What else they do? They do software development, directly or indirectly. If there is a team that is writing a software and even manager is not having like hands-on work day to day, his or her team is doing software, is writing code, is keeping the quality of the product. So either directly or indirectly, engineering managers are delivering software. They care about team collaboration. They need to make sure that their teams, their organization are actually having a way of sharing the knowledge. And last but not least, they manage performance. Either performance of the team, individuals, but they also build a development plans for people so they can grow. So let's start with the first one, which is decision making. Now, one important thing, you're gonna see over a couple of slides a particular names of products, of services. This is not advertisement. You're gonna see some logos as well. I'm using those tools. This is why you see them. They're having free tiers. Some of them are paid, but you can easily find alternatives on the market. I put them on the slide, put particular names, just to give a context and example how those tools are leveraging AI and how I'm using those tools to actually be more productive. So to be clear, there is no advertisement here. So let's talk about hiring in the context of decision making. So as I mentioned that engineering managers are doing hiring. I took over the quality organization last year, and literally a month back, I got the first opening. I've never been hiring for the role. I hired already a person. He's going to join next month. But when I got the opening, I thought, okay, let's think about how I can use AI to actually build an interview process. And since there are different stages of interviews that we are doing, I was focused only on soft skills. I had other people doing technical assessments, so that was what I wanted to build. And I just opened a ChatGPT and I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'm having an opening. I'm looking for a cloud quality lead. I need 5 areas, 5 dimensions that are important in this role. Give me a table, give me a place where I can put score, and prepare that for me so I can share with others people who are gonna be doing an interview with me. And in the beginning, I thought that I'm gonna get not very precise answer because I didn't provide any job description. So I was like, okay, probably there are gonna be additional steps that I have to do to make it more clear. But actually, what I got, I was pretty happy with. This structurized the things that I really had in my head, even with such a small prompt and such a small number of details. So I got a table, I got dimensions that are really, those things are really important in the role. I got description. Now I can print this, I can share this with people who are supposed to be doing an interview with me in an easy way. So then I thought, okay, I have some questions already. I know what I want to ask, but hey, can you give me some questions? And I asked, give me 3 questions for every single dimension that you just provided, and look at what senior seasoned leaders, that are role models, think about all those aspects that you just listed. So I pointed to John Maxwell, I pointed to Simon Sinek, but of course I said, don't limit yourself to only that. One of the features that I use here is a deep search in ChatGPT that is basically scrolling through the web, checking different content, doing analysis, and then giving you the answer. And again, I was pretty happy with the result. I got 3 questions for every single dimension with a rationale why actually this question is important. Again, I was happy because this was aligned with the questions that I already had and my thinking about the role in general. And I literally used that during the interview for this role. So, and all of that has been generated in like 4 minutes or something. So even if you don't have any idea how you would like to handle the interviews, you can use ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever kind of LLM you have, to actually generate a pretty good interview process. Now, what you're gonna see on this slide, I haven't used, but when I started thinking about hiring, I realized that we can go even a step forward. One the rule of thumbs that I have during interviews is in 99% of cases, I'm never alone during the interview from the hiring perspective. So there is me, there's candidate, and there's one more person from my company doing the interview with me. I learned a couple of years back in the hard way that having only myself there is not a good idea. It's something that's very subjective when you talk with someone, and having a second pair of eyes that is giving you a feedback. You can agree with this feedback or not, but at least you get it, is very important. So I thought, why AI cannot help me with that? Now, think about it. If you have an interview, and if you have an online interview, you can actually use, for example, WebEx or whatever tool you're using during this online conversation to get a transcript. Now, ChatGPT, for example, or Copilot, they cannot do a transcript from the recording. But if you have a transcript from, for example, from WebEx or whatever it is, you can easily use it and paste it to ChatGPT. So now imagine that you have the transcript, you have a CV of the candidate, you provide a description of the role, you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, that's the candidate. This is how the conversation looked like. This is his experience. This is what I expect. You can even use all the information from the previous slide that you generated. Tell me if this candidate is good or not. And you can get a pretty good assessment and a recommendation. Of course, this is not go, no-go information, but you get recommendations. It's the same way as you have a second person on the interview that is giving you recommendation. As a hiring manager, when you're making a call about whether you hire someone or not, you take this feedback into consideration. You don't have to agree with it. It happened plenty of times that I was not agreeing with the feedback about the candidate, but I was the person who's making the call. It gave me a food for thought. I considered the feedback, but I made my choice. And the approach to this should be exactly the same. Treat this as the recommendation. So I'm going to be having this year another opening. Let's see, maybe I'm going to use it or not. And by the way, in the final round, I had two candidates, one internal, one external. And I eventually picked one. And last week I thought, okay, let me check if AI is going to tell me if I was right or not, considering the data that I have. And of course, the data that I provide to the prompt was not very precise. I just put a CV there. I just put some additional information from the interview about both candidates. But I also provided information about my team. So how many people I have, what technical skills they have, what soft skills they have, and what challenges they have. And since I'm a fan of diverse teams, I said, hey, consider also that in your assessment. And I got a recommendation. The recommendation was exactly aligned with the final call that I did, so I was pretty happy. So hiring is the one thing. Now, when we are thinking about decision making, a simple scenario that I want to show you, and also how you can again use ChatGPT or Copilot to help you with something that is called what-if scenarios. This is completely artificial example, but I can imagine that something like this can happen. So you're owning a team. Team is having 5 engineers. You have a project. You have 2 months. You know that with the current velocity, you're gonna be having a delay, which is 4 to 6 weeks. Now, you don't want to burn out your team. You have some budget, so you can hire someone. You can hire a contractor, or you can distribute the workload. And now, to make a good decision, you would like to learn about the different outcomes. And now, what generative models can do for you is that they can actually provide you what is going to happen depending on the scenario that you're going to be having. So you can get something like this, again, with recommendation that you can follow or not. But what it really gives you is that in one place, you have the overview of all those scenarios, considering the factors that you want to check, so you can make a better decision. So in this case, for example, model is saying, hey, contractor is the best option because you don't have to look on the market. You just get someone who knows the technology, may not know the product, but the ramp-up time is shorter than you're going to hire someone completely out of the market, because then you spend the time on hiring itself. But at the same time, if you know your team, if you know that your team can really survive being overworked for some period of time and working in an overtime mode, you can redistribute the work. It's you who are making a final call, but this really helps with structurizing those different scenarios. So this was about decision making. Now, project management. Only one slide that I have about this one. What you see on the screen are screenshots from Asana. Asana is a project management tool, basically. Completely artificial example again. However, those tasks that you see are actually from the backlog of my team. Asana is basically a project management tool, so you do all the stuff that in any other tool. But what it's having integrated is, of course, some AI capabilities. And now I can imagine a situation when I have a project, or plenty of projects, and I'm off for a week because I have a PTO. I'm just having holidays, and I'm returning back, and I want to understand where we are with this project. Now, in a typical scenario, I go to project manager, scrum master, PO, whoever is owning the project. But what if I can just go and say, give me a summary of what is going on. With a one line, I get a complete summary of a project, or all the projects that I actually manage in the tool, including information about risk and challenges, which is pretty important. So as you can see here, for example, I'm the only developer assigned to those tasks, and immediately it has been proposed as one of the challenges that I should be looking at, because I become suddenly a constraint. Now imagine that you have, I don't know, 10 projects and you have 10 teams. Instead of going manually through all those projects, understanding where we are having problem with resource allocation, you just prompt one sentence and you get that information right in front of your eyes. So that's a pretty cool thing. Software development, the another area. Who is using GitHub Copilot? Do you like it? Who likes it? Yeah, not that bad. So, and this is gonna be very subjective again, but based on the feedback that I'm also hearing from developers. I really believe that in the future things like GitHub Copilot are gonna be very useful even in writing big pieces of software. By the way, I read this morning that Microsoft, that I mentioned earlier, they claim that their code base right now in 20 to 30% is generated by AI. This is pretty interesting. I never thought that they're gonna reach that high level that fast. But I still don't believe that tools like Copilot can generate a big pieces of your applications, or can generate fully applications that are enterprise ready. We're not yet there. But at the same time, what AI is good with and can help with is prototyping. So basically, you want to understand if the concept that you have, you should give a go or no go. Yeah. So you can understand if the idea that you have very quickly, you can understand if the idea can bring some value, or if this is doable. And for that, using AI is pretty good. It makes it fast. So I divide this prototyping part into three different, I would say, levels. So one is using conversational AI assistants. So things like ChatGPT, like Copilot. Yeah, they're good with generating snippets. They're good with generating something that is very simple, and you don't necessarily have to use it in a bigger application. As an example, I play a lot with data in Excel, and sometimes I need to combine data from different files in a pretty non-standard way. Usually I do that by using some Python script that is doing that for me, and in the past I was writing those scripts by myself. Now I can just go to ChatGPT, to Copilot, and I can just say, hey, generate something for me. Of course, this is not like the most simple case that I could present here, but this is one of ways how you can leverage those tools for such a simple things. But there is also another case where it can help you. Cloud-based dev platforms. You want to prototype the application that is gonna be running in the browser, and you want to deploy it easy, you want to develop it easily. There are plenty of tools out there, like Replit, like Bolt, where you can actually generate some application. The example you see is like real life use case. In my company, every Wednesday we're having volleyball games, so we need to manage signups for those games. We're using some kind of survey, but recently we started talking about, hey, maybe we can do that in a little bit better way. So I went to Bolt website, and I said, hey, generate such an application for me, and it just did. Probably I would have to spend a couple of hours writing this code. It has been auto-generated within a couple of minutes. To be fair, it didn't run on the first attempt. There were some problems. I think it took me like 6 attempts to actually made it deployed and made it running. There were some issues. The good thing is I didn't have to do anything. When there was an issue, I just said, hey, fix that for me. That was it, yeah? Did a couple of times. It compiled finally. It has been deployed successfully. I got this, yeah? So this is the second, this is the second way how we can use AI for prototyping. And the third one is, of course, something that we've been talking about a few minutes back. The tools that can integrate with your IDE, like GitHub Copilot, like Gemini Code Assistant. Now, they can help with generating code. They can help you with generating baseline. As I've said, this is my subjective opinion. I don't believe they can write entire software for you, but they are good enough to give you a baseline. And here, of course, you can see a very simple example. There is some class that is this implementation of the service with a couple of methods that is handling files. And I said, hey, give me additional method that is going to handle renaming files. It generated something. It was good enough. Probably after some refactoring, I could use it. But this is the third level of using generative AI for actually helping you with writing the software. Code reviews. Very quickly about this one. Again, GitHub, Bitbucket, you can integrate AI-based code reviews that can help you with catching up things or not. Basically, you're getting additional pair of eyes that is checking your code and telling you if it's good or not. My advice, just play with it and see how it works. Actually, we're trying to implement it, and a couple of teams in my company are using that. We enabled that for them. And it's like 50-50. Some people are saying it's a total crap. The other people are saying, yeah, it's helpful. It's finding some stuff. So there is a mixed feeling about that. My advice, just enable it and play it. It's pretty easy to integrate with that. Last but not least, software development in the context of AI and testing. Very quickly, 4 areas that I wanted to cover briefly. Test cases generation. Let's imagine that you have an API. You have a service, you have an API, you have some spec description of the service. You just put it in some model and you say, hey, give me test cases, give me corner cases. You don't have to think about it. You get a list of test cases that you should you can then use during your testing process. Of course, you should review if it doesn't make sense, but usually it's going to give you a pretty good idea on which direction you should go. Test generation, related to the previous slide, things like GitHub Copilot or Gemini Code Assistant can generate unit tests for you. Again, the quality of those tests should be pretty good. After some kind of review and refactoring, you can get it. It's going to speed up your development. Data generation. Very often, you need some data to, for example, do some load testing. Yeah. In this example, I just ask, hey, give me 50 files. Maximum size of this file should be 2 gigabytes. I need a Python script that is going to generate those files for me so I can use them in a testing. So think about how you can actually leverage this when you need to generate artificial data to test whatever kind of thing you have to test. Last but not least, creative testing. And like you can think about and you can figure out how you can actually leverage in the other way generative AI or any other AI technique in the way how you test. And one of the examples that I want to give you is related to UI testing, web browser UI testing, in fact. A framework called Zero Step, which is actually a framework that is you can integrate with another framework, which is called Playwright. Anyone ever heard about Playwright? Some people do. Okay, good. So Playwright is basically a framework that you use for UI testing and API testing. It's pretty popular right now. The problem with UI testing is that you have to interact with elements and you have to retrieve those elements from the structure of the page. So you use some metadata like IDs, classes, etc. And you use also the position in the structure of the website where the element is. The problem is that the structure of the page can change. Then you have to rewrite your tests. Now, what Zero Step is doing is that it's providing prompt-based UI testing. So instead of reaching for a particular element, like in this example, you just put a prompt. You don't look for element on the website. It's gonna do that for you, regardless of how the structure, what the structure is and how it's changing. So in this case, give me the current price for S&P 500, strip out all commas. It's of course going to openfinance.yahoo.com. That's it. Yeah, you don't care where this is, where this element holding this information is. It's gonna do that for you. It's a pretty interesting. So from the perspective of software development, this is one I wanted to cover, and of course there are other areas that you can explore in the future. Team collaboration, 3 strategies that I wanted to quickly point. If you want to really improve and build AI-based sharing knowledge in your teams. First, centralize your knowledge base. So usually what is happening is that there is some kind of knowledge hub. It can be Confluence, it can be Notion, it can be whatever it is. And usually you also have some communication channels like Slack, Steam, or whatever it is. Make sure, as a strategy that you can find a way to integrate those 2 sources of data in one place, so anyone who is reaching for some information can get a context of both those systems. Yeah. So this is one strategy that you can think about. The second, capture conversation automatically. We've been talking about transcripts that are available in tools like, for example, WebEx. You have also other platforms like Fireflies, Otter, whatever it is. So think about how you can actually use that to gather the data in one place and then transfer to, for example, some kind of knowledge hub. One tool that I wanted to mention, I found it like last week. It's pretty interesting. I've never been using it, and it's pretty scary, to be fair. It's called Rewind. This is the tool that once installed on a machine is literally gathering all the data and all the information that are being processed on this machine, including also a voice. So for example, when you're on the meeting, it's going to record it and it's going to store it locally. This is what they say. The interesting thing is that then you can play with those data the same way as you play with any other data using Copilot or ChatGPT. So basically you have a model that you can interact with and talk with, and it's having this whole context of all the things that are happening on this particular machine. Pretty scary, but at the same time, it can be really useful. I've never been trying to play with this. I'm just showing this as a something that might be interesting for some of you. Last but not least, supercharge internal search. So basically make sure that once you integrate your systems, your knowledge hub with your communication channels, that you have some tool that allows you really search through the data. And again, you can use, for example, Copilot on the enterprise level to do that. Now, one slide about communication channels. And sorry for the quality of this screenshot, but I had to just strip some data that are sensitive from this conversation. But this is literally something that I used last week. Internally, we're using WebEx for communication, and this is a space that is dedicated for my team. And last week, I was on PTO one day, and I was about to return the next day, so I woke up in the morning. I didn't have much sleep. I was tired, and I know that there was a pretty heated conversation on the channel the previous day. And I was like, I need to understand what was going on, but I don't have really power to go through this, scroll through this conversation, and to see who's been arguing with whom about what. And then I realized the small button on the top of the WebEx, which basically opened AI assistant for me. And I click, hey, summarize last day for me. And that was a game changer, really. I spent like 3 minutes instead of scrolling and trying to understand what have happened. It was precise enough for me that I could understand, even with a less lack of sleep. So small thing like that really made a change here. Think about how you can use the same in your everyday work. When we're talking about team collaboration, we also pretty often do presentations, visualizations. Again, if you have tools like PowerPoint, most probably you have a Copilot integrated with it. If you're lazy, you can go and think about if you can use some solutions that are out there like Gamma to generate a baseline presentation for you. For me, personally, it usually doesn't work really well because the presentations that I'm having are pretty complex. But if you have something simple, you can, again, go, use a prompt, get a presentation. The second tool that I want to mention here is called Napkin. And actually, this one is pretty good. And the circle that you saw in one of the slides with the areas of engineering management has been generated by this tool. It helps you visualize processes, things like areas that you want to focus on in a very creative way. What is really good is going to provide a couple of options how to visualize whatever you paste there with different colors, with different themes. You can export this as a slide in PowerPoint, so you can then edit it. For me, once I found it, it's a really game changer. So this is about team collaboration. Now let's talk quickly about performance management. So the last area that I have on my list. And again, there are plenty of ways how you can think about the areas of performance management that you can improve. I want to point two of those: one-on-ones and having difficult conversations. So one-on-ones are tricky, especially if you have a big group of direct reports. I've been there. At some point, at peak, I had like 26 or 27 direct reports. So you have to have one-on-ones with all those people. If you even calculate the time that you spend on that, it's pretty crazy what you can get. So sometimes getting this under control is tricky. Now let's imagine that you have one place where you store all the one-on-ones in a digitalized ways. If you have one place where you have information about the people you're talking with in one place, then you can use tools like ChatGPT, like Copilot, to help you with generating content for upcoming meetings. So you can literally ask, hey, suggest the agenda for the meeting. I have no idea what I want to talk about with the person because I didn't have time to prepare. What we had in the past? What you can propose, so after those 20 minutes, we both feel like we actually had a meaningful conversation instead of talking about, I don't know, anything, weather or whatever it is. You can clarify and summarize what have happened during the one-on-one, including specific action items. You can even ask to generate an email and send to the person that you've been talking with as a summary of the meeting that you had. Last but not least, you can also use it to get in the suggestions about the constructive feedback that you can share on the next meeting. And now, when we are talking about constructive feedback sometimes means difficult conversations. Of course, it's not the only one type, the only one type of difficult conversation that you might be having. You might be having other type of conversation. You might go to your boss and ask for a raise, and it also might be a difficult conversation, yeah, depending on the situation that your company is having. And you can actually prepare for that using AI models. There are some custom models, for example, in ChatGPT, like the one you see on the screen, how to have a hard conversation. What it do? It plays a scenario. So you basically talk with a model, and the model is simulating different responses from acting as a person that you are talking with. So you can play the model that is going to simulate for you a boss who don't want to give you a raise, and you're asking for it. Yeah. So you can simulate that kind of conversation. But you can go even further. I found it recently. Never use it. So I've been trying to use it. I've never used it like for preparing for scenario at work. The tool is called Tough Tongue AI. is literally the same as with ChatGPT or Copilot when you can play the scenario, but you can actually speak to the model. So you can prompt what kind of scenario you want to play, and then you can talk with a model which is speaking to you, just simulating even more realistic scenario, so you can prepare better for tough conversation. You can put your own prompt, but it's even better with this tool, is that you can actually use predefined scenarios. And I just wanted to list one of those, because I think this is something that is pretty common. So you can simulate discussion with your manager, your boss, about impossible performance targets. So manage a conversation with a boss who sets impossible high expectations. Yeah, how cool is that? So that covers all the 5 areas that I had. The last slide, almost the last slide that I have today, is about practices to foster AI adoption. I mentioned that I would like to give a quick overview what you can actually do for your teams to make sure that they are enabled to and encouraged to actually use AI in everyday work. So first of all, make sure that you position AI as a collaborator. So people are feared about AI. We've been talking in the beginning how it affects the job market. Make sure that everyone understands that the reason why we are trying to use AI is about boosting productivity and helping ourselves, and it's not about replacing people. Encourage curiosity. Make sure that you organize a training just to make sure that your people understand what AI even is, so they can take a step forward and start playing with it. Lead by example. Use different AI tools by yourself, show how you do that, talk about it, and show how this is changing the way how you work and how this is helping you. Provide dedicated time. Talking to people, hey, please start using AI is one thing, but giving actual time to do that is another thing. And for example, my team, they even don't know about it yet, so I hope they won't learn from the recording. But starting from the next month, we're gonna dedicate 20%, so 1 day a week. Every single person is gonna be having 1 day in a week just to play with AI. And it's not only that, we're also gonna be having monthly follow-up meetings where we're gonna summarize, understand all the great ideas that I expect are gonna be created from this exercise. And this is not even we're gonna be meeting with me, but also with my boss. So give it time. Give autonomy. Don't tell what tools they should use. Just put a problem in front of your people and ask, hey, think about how you can use AI to fix this. Focus on impact. Don't try to fix big things, big problems, where you have to spend a lot of time actually to see a value. Think small, take baby steps, think about small problems that you can fix with introducing artificial intelligence in your organization. Create safe space. We are experimenting, we can fail. Make sure that everyone understands that this is fine. And last but not least, promote sharing. Once you have ideas, when you have POCs, once you know that some things works for you good, make sure that everyone in the organization understands the same and they know about the same so they can leverage as well. By the way, this is another example of using Napkin. This slide has been entirely generated by this tool. And with that, I have a last slide. This one is again, the last example of how you can use AI. Is a little bit more for fun. This has been generated by Sora model. I build my brand pretty consciously on the social media. I'm trying to do that. And as you know, this presentation is going to be recorded. But if for some reason I won't like it, or there won't be enough clapping from the audience, I can always use this clip and share it on the social media to show how great it was. And that's it from me. Thank you. And now the question is if you have time for questions. I guess we have. You don't see questions. Okay, let me try to open Slido. How I can make sure it's visible? Ha! Mission accomplished. Okay, if we use AI to generate interview questions and the candidate uses AI to answer them, does the interview process still make sense? Yes, it does. It does. I think that we won't be able to make a good decision without actually human making this decision. As I mentioned, I treat AI and generative AI as additional source of feedback. I don't trust it that much that it can make a decision, a good decision, instead of me making this final call. And this is actually true for any other feedback that I'm getting also from people that are part of interviews. Very often I don't agree with the feedback that I have. And if I'm the person who's making a final call, it happened a few times that even I got completely bad feedback about candidate, I still hired the person. And it ended up well. But that was my call. At the same time, I really took into consideration the feedback that I got. It's exactly the same with, at least in my head, how I would like to use AI. I treat it as additional source of feedback here. I hope this answered the question. Let's try with the next one. That's a good one. The answer is yes. I think that it's gonna lead exactly to that. And I think that every single manager should have to just answer to himself how much you would like to stay ahead of the game. So in general, I'm a lazy person, so I would like to rather sit on the beach and value my time. I would like to rather spend time on the beach sitting out there and tools that are using AI doing my job instead of me. I would love to do that. But at the same time, I also feel that I need to stay competitive. So even if AI is going to be doing all that analytics, I feel that I would like to stay ahead of the game and still understand what is going on under the hood. So I would say it's up to you how you're going to approach that. But if you're going to decide that AI is going to be doing every type of analytics for you, and you don't want to really follow and understand what is happening there, yes, there is a risk that it's going to reduce your analytical skills. The next one. The tricky one. I think there is no simple answer to this one. We are in the moment where we still don't know how to approach this. There is not like a common way of thinking about how, from compliance perspective, from security perspective, AI should be introduced to companies. I know that there are companies that banned AI completely. And for example, they banned integrating AI-based software development tools. There are companies that are super open about that. I think that we don't have right now a good strategy and a common understanding how we should approach this. So every single case is going to be very individual. Depending on what your organization thinks about it, what your leaders in your organization think about this, you're going to get a different answer. So I don't have a good answer to this one, to be fair. Are you sure it's legal to put someone's CV into ChatGPT prompt? It depends. If you have a model that is basically on enterprise license, your company can buy something like this. You get a guarantee that the data that you put there are safe. That's it. This is what you guarantee when you sign a contract. For example, when you have a ChatGPT enterprise version, it is certified you can use it inside your organization for even putting things like CV there because they're basically safe. So it depends what you use. If you use like a common purpose ChatGPT, that's a different story. You shouldn't be doing that. Cheating during hiring. Yeah, it happens. We're seeing that more and more. I don't know. It's when I was taking a look at the codes of people who are doing that kind of technical interviews and were using any kind of AI model. For me, it's pretty obvious that the code has been generated by AI. That's it. And the same is, for example, with emails. Even yesterday, I asked one of the person I'm working with, hey, please prepare an email that you're gonna send to wider audience. And he sent this email to me for review. I looked at this email and I knew it was not generated by AI, but definitely he processed this email through AI. And I asked him, hey, you use Copilot for that? Yes, I did. Yeah. So I think it's still pretty obvious, at least for me. I can tell from my experience that someone is using AI during interview process. Regarding creative testings, if those tests are flaky, yes, they are. But still, it's pretty good idea of using prompts. So I think that over time they're gonna improve it, and when this gonna reach this plateau of productivity in the context of the chart that we had in the beginning, it's gonna be way better. Most convenient tool. So the last question, most convenient tool for code writing. I've been playing a lot with Gemini code. I've been playing a lot with GitHub Copilot. To be honest, they're both the same. They're maybe Gemini Copilot is a little bit better in the context of generating automated tests comparing to generating code itself. But that's it. They are basically the same. Okay, and we're out of questions. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.